Much of the credit for the fact that this loose association of states does manage to hang together, despite its periodic crises, has been put down to the personality of the Queen.
That's very nice to see you. You know she's got a baby. How long is it since you've been in these parts?
My last visit was 75 to Jamaica, Kingston.
Well, I was here in 77 and in the Bahamas, and I was in Canada. Well, I opened Parliament in Canada, and then I came here, opened Parliament, and then in the Virgin Islands, and then in Antigua, then in Barbados, and then I flew home by Concorde, which was the only way I could get home in time to open Parliament in London. And 4 hours sleep. I opened it at 5 o'clock in the morning. Which was very strange. Very strange experience. But that was the Jubilee tour, you know. But this is what's so interesting, I think, about the Commonwealth. It brings together all climates and all parts of the world. You know, everybody has got a different viewpoint and a different part of the world.
Over the years, Commonwealth meetings have developed a character unique among large international gatherings. A mirror of the informality of these occasions is the traditional family photograph taken at all Commonwealth summits. The atmosphere may be that of a family, but as an institution, the Commonwealth lacks logic. It has no real power. Unlike countries in the common market or in NATO, it can aspire to no common policy. Its strength lies in its diversity and its potential to reconcile differences. It's also managed to so order its affairs that even its smallest states feel a part of the association.
Yeah, but there's a sense of fairness about the manner in which the meetings are conducted, the Queen's presence. We're all treated equally. No one gets any favors, and no one gets to stand on the back of the line. We're all together. And it's that degree of fairness that makes it what it is. And if that were removed or if that were changed, then it would cease to exist because it would have no value.
The Queen's contribution to these Commonwealth meetings is not merely social. She fulfills one of her more important functions as head of the Commonwealth, that of meeting all the heads of government and discussing the problems of their individual countries.
We were all so shy.
The interesting thing is, as we have a Commonwealth conference, the Queen actually does not attend either the opening or any sessions, and yet she is very much there because the most important thing to many of the representatives here is the audience which each of them goes and has with the Queen during the course of the conference. And the most important event is when we all get together, when the Queen gives a dinner in honour of all heads of government. And I think without that, a close link with her, without the feeling that when each Prime Minister or President goes into the Queen, that she knows their problems, has known them over many, many years, that she's interested, that she knows them, not only their national problems, she knows them in relation to those in other countries of the Commonwealth.
At the 1985 meeting in Nassau, for 3 days, the Queen never left the Royal Yacht.
I think she's taking a little jaunt out in the Bahamas, but she's really working because almost every half hour she's seeing a head of state in the 3 days that we're there. And she is discussing things that count. She isn't talking about the weather and the swimming and the tourism.
Your Majesty, the Prime Minister of Dominica.
Nice to see you.
Good morning. Come on.
it's obvious that she's not just talking palliatives. She's interested, definitely interested, in what is happening in each of those countries. Then we spoke about South Africa. She doesn't give any opinions and try to dictate policies or try to make people's minds up for them. But obviously she was talking about it and seeing that there were different points of view emerging from different parts of the Commonwealth, and realizing it was an important issue to be decided by us sitting there and understanding each other. And her anxiety that it should be something that we arrive at a consensus with all the countries being satisfied.
Your Majesty, Prime Minister of India.
Good morning.
Good morning. Actually, somehow we started about half an hour late.
I imagine it's quite
Started.
difficult with so
Yes.
many people, isn't it, to
Yes. To just get
to actually-
all the sort of...
Yes. And this time it
Prime
was
Minister.
the world, was it, that was
Yes,
being
just
discussed?
in general. The Queen has a very major role as a sort of key figure that holds and binds the Commonwealth together. A figure that everyone looks towards as the strength of the Commonwealth. And she plays that role very well.
It's a very good way of getting to know everybody. Of course, the numbers have increased tremendously since the first meetings. It's got progressively fuller as more members join, but it's very interesting, and I think it certainly gives me a very useful chance to talk to all the heads of government or their representatives, just them and me, so to speak, with nobody else listening, which is very useful.
Your Majesty, the Prime Minister of Fiji.
I'm very glad to see you again. Have you been listening to the
Yes,
discussions today?
Yes, I left. I didn't attend this afternoon because it started late.
Perhaps you'd like to come through and we can talk about Fiji.
The Queen has not only a uniting role, but I think she's the most knowledgeable person about the Commonwealth that I've ever come across. One has to be very careful in discussing Commonwealth affairs with her. If you don't know what you're talking about, she'll soon let you know that you're not fully versed in what you're talking about, because she's so knowledgeable.
Your Majesty, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
Good evening, first.
Good evening, Your Majesty.
You've had a very long day,
it
didn't
ran
you?
over just a little bit today.
But you started it this morning, did you?
Yes,
With the,
yes, with the world.
The world.
All in 20 minutes.
Gracious.
And then, well, yes, 20 minutes to open it with, and then other people also were quite long, because when you make a contribution, they obviously want you to say something about most things.
Yes.
But then we're on to South Africa now,
No,
and it
certainly,
started
yes.
with Kenneth Kaunda.
Yes, he told me he was
And,
going to
yes,
talk
Mr.
about that.
Hawke.
Well, do come in.
Thank you.
Every prime minister, every president, and I've been up against some pretty radical ones, militant ones that you might think probably don't care too much for this whole monarchical thing. I have never met a Commonwealth president or prime minister who doesn't place maximum value and importance, and often with a lot of affection, on those 15, 20 minutes when they can sit down with the Queen and talk about their countries, their problems, because she knows them very well, and the issues before them at the meeting.